A secret sentence is hidden in the green subtitles. See if you can find it. Okay, so you want to own a gym. Find a big unit off a busy road, fill it with shiny machines, rack the weights, put your name over the door, and watch the members roll in. That's the plan in your head, and honestly, it's not a bad plan. Walk into any busy gym at 6:30 on a Monday in January, and it looks like the easiest business in the world. Every machine taken, a queue for the squat rack, the place heaving, direct debits firing every time somebody scans in. You look at that and you think, this is a license to print money. More members, more signups, more cash. Simple. Here's the problem. You are looking at the 2 weeks of the year that lie to you the most. Because a gym is not a fitness business. It's a subscription business that happens to have dumbbells in it. And in a minute, I'm going to take everything it costs to run this place for 1 month, break it down line by line, and turn it into a single number. What it actually costs the gym every single time one person walks through that door. Once you see that number, who your best customer really is stops being who you'd guess, and the whole thing starts to make sense. Let's start with what you're actually buying, because there isn't one type of gym. There are several, and each one is really a different business wearing the same tracksuit. At one end, you've got the budget box, €20 a month, open 24 hours, barely any staff, and a huge floor packed with kit. It lives or dies on sheer volume. Thousands of members, most of whom it quietly hopes it never actually sees. Then there's the mid-market club, the one most people picture. €30 to €40 a month, classes, a few trainers out on the floor, maybe a sauna. It sells a bit of budget and a bit of boutique, and it has to be careful it isn't beaten on both sides at once. Above that, the premium health club, €100 a month or more, a pool, towels, a cafe, the works. You're not really selling exercise in there. You're selling a nice place to spend an hour. And then the boutique studio, spin, reformer Pilates, a CrossFit box, a small floor, no cardio hall, one thing done really well, and a price per class that would make a budget gym faint. Underneath every single one of them sits the same quiet truth. Whatever the sign over the door says, the machine running in the background is identical. Sign a person up to a monthly payment and pray they don't all turn up on the same evening. Hold that thought because it decides everything about the money, and I'll put a hard number on it very shortly. Now, here's where the plan in your head starts to break down. You think the expensive part is a rack of dumbbells and a few treadmills. It isn't. The sweat happens out on the floor, but the money disappears into everything around it. Start with the kit. A proper fit-out, a full free weight area, a rig, a row of treadmills and bikes, the resistance machines, the mats, is €250,000 on its own. One decent commercial treadmill is €4,000, and you need a whole line of them. Then the building has to actually become a gym, which is a renovation, not a paint job. And here's the specific that almost nobody budgets for: air. A room full of people breathing hard needs a colossal amount of fresh air pushed through it. The rule of thumb is 8 to 10 air changes an hour. Take a floor of 1,000 square meters with 3-meter ceilings. That's 3,000 cubic meters of room. At 10 changes an hour, you are moving 30,000 cubic meters of fresh air every single hour the doors are open. The ventilation and air handling to do that quietly runs well into 6 figures. On top of that, changing rooms and showers with all the plumbing and hot water they demand, sprung or rubber flooring that survives a dropped barbell, sound, lighting, the deposit, and the legal and professional fees just to get the doors open. So let's add it up honestly. $250,000 for equipment, $120,000 for building works and ventilation, $60,000 for changing rooms and showers, $40,000 for flooring, $30,000 for the deposit, the fees, and a contingency. That is €500,000 before one single member has ever scanned in. So far, so good. Now let's talk about the decision that quietly traps people, because it's the one that decides whether you ever actually own a thing. Do you lease the building or do you buy it? Leasing sounds gentler. You put down a deposit, you sign a lease, and you're trading in weeks instead of years. But you are now paying rent on a big industrial unit forever. And a gym needs a lot of floor. Call it €16,000 a month. That is €192,000 a year leaving the business before you have counted a single other cost. And at the end of a 10-year lease, you own precisely nothing. That is very nearly €2 million of rent handed over just for the right to keep trading. Buying the building means finding the best part of €1 million up front, which most first-timers simply don't have. But the rent stops, and the building becomes an asset working quietly in the background. And then there's the tie almost no one sees coming, the equipment. Most gyms do not buy that $250,000 of kit outright. They finance it, lease the equipment, and you'll pay maybe €5,000 a month for 5 years. That is €300,000 for kit that would have cost you $250 to buy, and at the end of it, the finance company still owns your treadmills. It is the same trap as the rent, just wearing gym clothes, a cost that leaves every month, whether a single person trained today or not. Now we get to the part of this business that actually explains everything else. Not the membership, the visit. Everybody stares at the €20 or €40 coming in the door. Almost nobody works out what it actually costs to let one person walk in and use the place. So let's slow right down and do the maths in real euros for a solid mid-market gym. Start with what it costs just to open the doors for 1 month. Rent and rates on the unit, €16,000. Wages, the floor staff, the front desk, the cleaners, $18,000. Equipment finance and servicing, $6,000. Heat, light, and above all the hot water for those showers, $5,000. Insurance, cleaning, the music licenses, and the software that runs the memberships, $3,000. Add all of that up, and it costs €48,000 a month just to exist, before anybody lifts a single thing. Now, how many times does the turnstile actually click in that month? For a gym this size, about 12,000 visits. So do the division. €48,000 divided by 12,000 visits is €4. Every single time somebody scans that card and walks in, it costs the gym €4. Whether they do a full 2-hour session or just stand there scrolling their phone, €4. And this is where it gets strange. Picture the member you would put on your poster. In 4 times a week, every week. That's about 16 visits a month. 16 visits at €4 each costs you €64 to serve. And they are paying you €39 a month. You are losing €25 a month on your most dedicated member. Now picture the other one. Joined in a burst of motivation, came twice, and has not been seen since. 0 visits. Costs you nothing at all. And still pays €39 every month. Quietly, automatically. That member is pure profit. Read that back. The customer you love is a loss. The customer who forgot they joined is the one keeping the lights on. Your ideal member, on paper, is a direct debit that never once walks through the door. There's a rhythm to a gym's cash that you have to understand because it runs the entire calendar. The trade is brutally seasonal, and it all hinges on 1 month, January. A gym can sign up a huge share of its whole year's new members in the first 3 weeks of January alone, the resolution rush. And here is the beautiful, brutal part. Most of those people will have stopped coming by February, but they do not cancel. They keep on paying. The entire model runs on the gap between the version of themselves they signed up as and the version that actually shows up, because that is the real product, and it was never the sweat. You are not selling the workout. You are selling who somebody wants to become, and canceling means admitting they've given up on that person. That is why the direct debit survives long after the motivation has died. It isn't laziness, it's identity, and it is worth an absolute fortune. And the business is built to keep it exactly that way. Every bit of friction is on your side as the owner. To join takes 30 seconds on a phone. To leave, you will find, needs a 30-day notice period. Sometimes a form, sometimes a letter. Always just enough hassle that plenty of people keep meaning to do it and never quite get round to it. And here's a hidden cost that catches almost every first-timer, and it has nothing whatsoever to do with weights. Music. A gym plays music every single hour it is open, out on the floor and in every class. The second you do, you are publicly performing somebody else's work, and that is not free. In Ireland, that means paying 2 separate licenses, one for the songwriters and one for the recordings. And for high-energy classes, there can be a premium on top. Skip it, and it isn't really a fine you are risking, so much as a very awkward letter and a bill far bigger than the license would ever have been. Now, let's ask the honest question. Can a gym survive as a pure membership business? And the answer is, only if the sums are absolutely ruthless. Take that €48,000 a month it costs to keep the doors open. On a €39 membership, how many paying members do you need just to cover it? 48,000 divided by 39 is 1,231 members. Not people in the building, direct debits. And remember, your floor only holds about 250 bodies at once. So you have to sell over 1,000 memberships beyond what the room could ever physically hold. And the whole thing only works because most members never use the gym often enough to fill it. Then there's churn, and churn is where gyms quietly bleed to death. A typical gym loses around 5% of its members every single month. If you have 2,000 members, that's 100 people canceling in a month. Which means before you grow by 1, you have to sign 100 brand new members just to stand in the exact same place. You are running on a treadmill of your own making. This is exactly how the big names came unstuck. When the market got hard, chains like DW Sports and even Gold's Gym ended up in administration and insolvency. They did not fail because people stopped wanting to be fit. They failed because the maths broke. Too much rent, too many machines financed, and a base that stopped renewing faster than they could ever replace it. Which is why the gyms that thrive lean hard on the money the plan forgot. Personal training, where you rent the same floor to a coach for a fee, or take a cut of every session. Paid small group classes, sold at a premium on top of the membership. Sports massage, physio, a coffee bar, supplements. Corporate memberships, sold by the dozen. Each of those earns far more per head than the base membership ever will. The operator who cracks it isn't the one with the most treadmills. It's the one who found 3 other reasons to charge the same person under the same roof. Now, let's put it all together and look at what actually happens over a full year, because this is where 2 very different versions of the same gym reveal themselves. In the good version, you picked the right catchment. 40,000 people inside a 12-minute drive, and you converted enough of them to sit comfortably above your break-even. Churn is low because the place is well-run and people genuinely like being there. January filled the reserve, the personal training floor is busy, and the corporate deals landed. Under those conditions, a well-run gym throws off a genuinely comfortable living, and if you own the building, an asset is quietly growing underneath the whole thing. In the realistic version, 2 or 3 ordinary things go wrong. None of them are dramatic. A budget gym opens 10 minutes away and undercuts you at €19 a month, and a slice of your members do the maths and leave. Your churn ticks up from 5% to 7%. The equipment finance comes up for renewal. Energy prices jump, and remember, you are heating water for 1,000 showers a week. Watch what that does to the business. You are now signing 140 members a month just to stand still. Your marketing spend climbs to go and find them. And the members who did stay are the keen ones, so their visits push your cost per visit up past that €4. The margin that looked so comfortable thins from every direction at once. And here's the quiet part. The difference between those 2 years is easily €100,000, and almost none of it arrives as an event. No disaster, no scandal. Just a competitor's poster, a slightly worse renewal, a few hundred people who simply stopped scanning in, compounding month after month until the figure at the bottom looks nothing like the plan. So if you do take on a gym, remember the one thing that actually decides whether you make it. It was never about how many bodies you can pack onto the floor on the 2nd of January. This is a subscription business, and it lives or dies on how well you hold on to the people who have quietly stopped showing up. Did you spot them? 6 green words, hidden in the subtitles across this whole video. They spell this. The sweat is not the business. The sweat is the thing on the poster, the part you can see. The business is the direct debit that keeps on paying long after the sweat has stopped. €39 a month, €4 a visit, and a gym quietly praying you don't come in. The money was never in the workout. It was in the membership that outlives it. Every episode hides one. Watch the subtitles.